Welcome to Peak Performers Podcast. In today's episode, it's going to be a little bit different structure than most. I had the opportunity several weeks ago to attend an event called SEAL Fit, where I was training with Navy SEALs, and afterwards I wanted to give you the distinctions and the learnings I had from that event. Well, I also had the opportunity last week to attend an event in Florida with Tony Robbins known as Date with Destiny. If you've seen the Netflix movie, I'm Not Your Guru, it's basically that event that was filmed a couple years ago. And I attended this event for the first time as a participant 12 years ago, and I went back this year to be a participant this year. And times obviously have changed. I'm not the same man I was 12 years ago. And as many of you know, I'm also a senior leader for the Robbins organization, and I've attended the last 12 Date with Destinies. And what I want to share with you today is some of the distinctions, some of the learnings, the aha moments for me, and just kind of a reminder of things that I already knew that I thought would be interesting to pass along to you. This is certainly not a complete list of everything that is taught there. This is just kind of the event seen through my eyes and doing the event for a second time. So for you that have already gone through the event, I think you'll find this interesting. If you know nothing about Tony Robbins or Date with Destiny, I think you'll find this very interesting as well. Date with Destiny is one of the top 5 events, life experiences that I've ever had. It made that much of an impact on me 12 years ago. So hopefully you'll enjoy these distinctions.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. There are thousands of words in the English language to describe emotions, but yet most people only experience 12 emotions every week, and they tend to repeat those 12 emotions over and over again, and half are normally negative emotions. So can you imagine going through life only having 6 positive emotions a week? Well, that's what most people are doing, and they wonder why they don't have an absolutely amazing quality of life. Well, if you only have 6 emotions that you're living over and over again, it's like playing the piano with only 6 keys, right? You've got a whole piano there. Get out, explore, and expand the emotions that you experience, because the emotions that you experience on a daily basis determine what you experience, what you feel, what your life is all about. So it was a good reminder to know that, find out what emotions that you want to experience and go out and start living those. One takeaway that I had was I realized that I was using stress and pain as a driver for me. I was making things bigger, tougher, and harder. And my mindset was, subconsciously, if I made things difficult, if I made them big, when I actually finally got those things done, which I'm great at executing, it would mean more and the reward would be bigger and better. So I was making life a little bit more difficult than it actually needed to be. One of the things I've been working on over the last several years is really not caring what people's reaction is to what I'm doing. In other words, I'm not trying to mold myself around popular opinion to waver and try to be liked by all. That's not a good formula. And I realized that I was running around saying I really don't care what other people think. And it just didn't feel congruent. It just didn't feel right to me. But the essence was I wasn't trying to figure out how to, be moldable and do what everyone wanted me to do. I wanted to run my life the way I wanted to run it. I wanted to run my message the way I wanted to run it. And I learned an interesting distinction last week, and that is I can change that to actually, I care about what people think. However, I care more about my vision, my mission, and my purpose, and serving others. And not everyone will see it the way that I see it, and that's okay. Now that one just fits so much better. I can do exactly what I want, how I want to do it. Not everyone's going to like it, which is okay. But deep down, I do care what people think. But my mission, my vision, my purpose, that's more important. A friend of mine came up to me at the beginning of the event and asked why I was there. I thought it was kind of funny. I said, well, I haven't been here in 12 years and I wanted to go back. I wanted to experience it. And I thought it'd be a good time to, look at some of my old values, my rules, etc. And really, spend a week working on me, which I do all the time, but it's nice to disconnect for that period of time. And he challenged me. He said, come up with something that a reason why you're here. And I thought about it for about a half a day. And I realized the reason is I was there to see what I don't see, to uncover the things that I'm not seeing every day. And what a great event to be around many, many, many friends that know me extremely well, where I can go up to them and say, okay, hey, this is what's going on. This is how things are going. Is there anything that you see that I'm not seeing? And it was a great opportunity to get some great feedback. The ability to overcome fear and break through and push forward is a very valuable strength and habit that you need. And I went from fighting things, people, when fear comes up, most people like to fight it, right? And what happens when you fight fear? It's pressure against pressure, and it just builds. So then I learned how to dance with fear, right? Fear comes at me, and it's like, okay, this is interesting. Now let's just dance. So it took away that force. I wasn't forcing back. I was just moving with it, and I was directing it the way I wanted it to go, most times. But I learned an interesting distinction this time, and that was, what if you ended up appreciating fear? Yes, appreciating it. Instead of fighting, instead of dancing with it. And you looked at it and appreciated it for what it was. And realized for a moment that it just might be there as a guide, as something that was meant to show up in order to keep you on track towards your ultimate vision, towards that North Star. Another concept that came up, which was really interesting, was, what if everybody is innocent? If there were no guilty people, but everyone was innocent? I had to think back at some of my prior dealings with business partners and business situations and personal situations as well. And I tell you, it's really interesting looking through it, the lens of, what if they were innocent? What if there was no malice, intent? And for several, that was difficult to actually come to that conclusion. But I said, if that was true, would that have changed the situation? Would that have changed my behavior in that moment? And it certainly would have. And it certainly would have changed the course of many of the decisions and actions that I took. So I'm going to be playing around with that in the next coming 12 months of, what if everybody's innocent and they're just doing the best that they can based on what they have? I guess a topic that goes along with that is, there was someone in my life that was angry. They were angry at me. I couldn't understand, why were they angry? And I really did some soul searching. I said, look, I really did not do anything to upset this person. And that's the way I feel. Now, of course, that might not be the truth, but I did a lot of work in this area. And I just couldn't come to the conclusion of why they were so angry. And then Tony presented the concept of, anger comes from hurt, and hurt comes from loss. So if you want to eliminate the anger, figure out what the loss is, figure out what the hurt is, and heal the loss, heal the hurt, and that will eliminate the anger. And that made a lot of sense in this particular situation. As soon as I was able to apply that and understand that the anger was emanating out of loss and hurt, game over. I understood it, and I understood the action I needed to take, and that was figure out a way to heal it. And if I can do that, that will eliminate the anger. Responsibility versus forgiveness. I'm always talking about taking responsibility. Make sure that you stand up, step up, and take responsibility for your actions, the results, everything in your life. Take responsibility. And I realize that part of the act of taking responsibility, sometimes we end up taking on the responsibility, we take on the fault, and then we blame ourselves subconsciously that things could have been differently had we done something differently. And you get to the process, if you're working, if there was somebody else involved in the situation, And if you're looking back, you may get to the point where, okay, I'm taking responsibility. I'm taking the blame. I'm going to forgive the other person in this situation, and I'm taking the blame. And what happens is sometimes that blame will start to pile up, and you subconsciously start to beat yourself up. There's a way to take responsibility, but not take on all the crap and the emotional baggage associated with, hey, it was my fault, and I'm going to beat myself up about it. Because when you forgive somebody else in the equation, make sure that you're also forgiving yourself. And a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, we don't end up forgiving ourselves. And that can start to stack on each other. So be careful of that. Anyone that's been through Date with Destiny understands the primary question and how this question controls so much of your life. It's a question that we ask subconsciously over and over and over again. And these primary questions can have some negative consequences to them. And what I realized is my current primary question was, how can I succeed? Right? Great question. However, what does it presuppose? One is that I'm not succeeding now. That made a whole lot of sense to me because my standards for what success and succeeding is extremely high. And I was making the rules so difficult to get. And the reason was, if I made the rules difficult, if I set the bar high, and eventually when I got there, that accomplishment would be worth so much more. It would have a higher level of success for me, and the joy, the excitement, and everything associated to that success would be amplified. Low goals, who cares? Who cares about making those? But if I set them high, I set the standards high, I set the rules high, and it's difficult for you to get there, well, that means I can be even more excited about the achievement. And I realized that this was not a good strategy. And I was realizing that in order to be happy, joyful, and excited, I first had to succeed, as opposed to, why don't I just be excited, joyful, and happy now while I'm in the process of achieving my goals and my outcomes. So I was able to switch that around. And again, for those that have been to Date with Destiny, will certainly relate to that. That was a huge shift. And I realized that, like most of us do, we make it difficult to win. Have high goals, high standards, but make it easy to win. Make it difficult doesn't make any sense. But I was certainly doing it. So please don't do that. Make it simple. Related to this also is pushing will tire you out. Pulling will take you to your wildest dreams. Instead of using force and pushing and climbing up that hill and clawing up that hill, find and connect to your compelling future. Find and connect to your ultimate vision and have the why you're chasing these dreams, why you're chasing these goals. Have that to compel you, to draw you, to pull you to your future. That is not tiring. That is energizing. And I certainly need to do more of that. One of my primary beliefs is anything I set my mind to, I can accomplish. And I've got a lot of references to prove that. So I know I can do it. And coupled with my belief that if I made it hard on myself, the rewards would be more rewarding, put me in a system where I was constantly pushing versus pulling. So going forward, I'm going to work on being pulled more. And this goes in alignment with one of the distinctions from SEALFIT was ask for help. It's okay. You don't have to do it all yourself. I'm used to having that mindset of I'll make it happen. Boom, I'll do it. It's okay to ask for help. Have your team help you. Have people around you help you. It's okay. Navy SEALs, they need help. Here's a distinction that I loved. The biggest problems with beliefs, your beliefs, is that we believe them. A belief is nothing more than what we've decided to believe based on our references. And it doesn't make them true. Look, we all believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy at one point of our lives, and we figured out that that was not true. But we believed it at one point. There are things as adults that we believe to be true based on the references. So our biggest problem with beliefs is that we believe them. Make sure what you believe is actually true. And even if you're convinced that it's true, ask yourself, is it really? Could it mean something else? Could there be a different meaning, different definition? And the last one that I'm going to end with is, and it kind of ties everything together, is don't confuse high standards, high goals, high outcomes, things that you're trying to achieve in your life. Don't confuse those with making the rules, making the process of obtaining them difficult. Have absolutely outstanding high values, high goals, but make the process easy to win. Don't make it tough. Don't follow my example and make things more difficult than they need to be. It's not worth it at the end of the day. And really what the goal at the end of the day is to get your outcomes, to get your dreams, and have fun along the way. Make it easy. So something that I'm working on. And if you followed my example and you find yourself making your life a little bit too difficult, there's an easier way of doing it. I'd be more than happy to get on the phone and share some of the concepts and ideas that I'm implementing and some of the distinctions that I've learned. Because, look, let's face it, life is short. This should be fun. It should be a joyful journey, and make it spectacular. So I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. If you have any questions, just reach out to me at the end of this podcast. You'll get some information on how you can get in touch with me. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.